For me, as an individual, as a woman, as a mother at that time, I realized that I was depending on people too much, maybe. And I had all my eggs in one basket. I had my job was, at Imaginary Force. My husband's job was in Imaginary Forces, and his partners were there. And that seemed to not really work out. And so I look back and I say to myself, I was depending on these people, and I shouldn't put myself in a position like that next time. I really need to depend more on myself. And so I think leaving this wonderful, beautiful company that we were a part of and building Imaginary Forces to take a leap of faith and start our own thing, it was something that was meant to be, something very scary, but also something that needed to happen.
Welcome to Object, Subject, Form, a series of conversations exploring the human side of creativity at the evolving intersection of art, technology, and finance. The following conversation is a celebration of creativity, innovation, and the power of partnership. Kimber Cooper is an entrepreneur with over 20 years of design, film, and VFX experience, including most recently e-commerce and XR. She's founded 3 companies: Prologue, where I spent the first decade of my design career, Prologue Immersive, and Spatialand, now called Insperience, which was acquired by Walmart in 2018 when she partnered with Mark Law and Laurie Flees to create the first retail virtual experience. Today we'll be discussing creative teamwork and the magic that can happen when art, love, and business collide, and the intricacies of working closely with the person you love while navigating the challenges that life inevitably presents, including managing family obligations, financial responsibilities, employee retention, and a consistent flow of work. Kim, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Simon. Thank you for having me.
This is such a special moment because it's almost 20 years since I first arrived here in LA to work with you and Kyle at Prologue. So thank you for that life-changing opportunity and also having me part of your journey. And obviously Kyle was such a bold figure in my life, and you and I have had chats now and then over the past few years, but I really wanted to take a moment to hear your story. And you've achieved incredible success, of course, with Prologue, which I believe is now also celebrating 20 years. And you've also had success with other recent ventures that we'll get into a bit later, but I'd love to know where and how you first discovered your passion for design and creativity.
Yeah, so, gosh, I remember that day clearly. My art teacher in high school, Ms. Akashi, said to me, gosh, Kim, you're really great at art. You should check out the gallery at ArtCenter. And that for my art teacher to kind of step aside and say that to me, I was like, wow, that's amazing. She thinks I'm good. So I took a drive. I went to this unbelievable campus and stepped inside the gallery, looked around, and then said to myself, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. I want to be here. I want to figure out, I don't know how I'm going to get here. I don't know anything about this world, but I want to be here. I want to do this. I want to do graphic design. And so I just figured out how to get there and get in. And then that was the beginning of my career. Thank goodness for my art teacher because my parents didn't go to college.
Yeah, so there's always somebody that kind of steers your path, if we're lucky enough. Yeah, I remember it was my art teacher as well was actually very prominent in doing that. I thought I could go and do science and chemistry, biology, and he would barge me in the hallways in high school and say, hey, why are you not in my class? So yeah, thankful for these people that do guide us.
Absolutely. It's so important. I think, even for my kids, I tell them all the time, I see what they're good at. I try to push them, but, it's your parents. And sometimes when you hear it from your parents, it's like, they're just my parents. But when you hear it from someone on the outside, it really strikes a chord. And it was like, I was like a rocket ship. I was just determined. And it was finally that moment in my life where I was like, I want to do this and I'm going to figure out how to do this. And I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to begin, but I'm going to ask all the dumb questions and figure out what I need to do and take night classes and take everything I can and get the portfolio, which I had no idea I had to create, and take all these different types of classes. And it was just a tremendous experience. And again, like I said, my parents, they were working class. You know, my mom, I think, worked a couple jobs, and she came from Mexico. So she just graduated high school and then started working and bringing me up. She had me when she was really young. And then my dad was running a market that he took over from his parents, who immigrated from China. So they were just like these very hardworking parents. And the only like messaging was like, just do good in school, Kim, and save money. Do good in school, save money.
Did they ever try to push you into a particular career, or
no,
they just let you be who you wanted to be?
I think they were just working so hard, and they just wanted me to do well in school. And they had no idea about this whole other world of art and entertainment and design. So I was really fortunate to have this art teacher kind of point me in a direction that I could grab onto and set the path forward for me. So yeah, they were just like day to day working. You know, they were really tired, and they were just they knew I was good at art too, but I don't think they understood like you can have a career out of that. And I don't think at the time I even knew what I was going to do with my art. So it's not really clear when you're in it at the beginning. And I think for me, I was just so inspired by that gallery with the automotive design, with the illustration, with the photography and the film, the graphics, the advertising, with all these wonderful ideas, and the fine art, the product design. So to me, I wanted to learn a little bit about a lot of those different majors as much as I can, because I was just fascinated by the work and this like whole other world that I didn't know existed.
Was there an opportunity to sample all of those? Like in the UK, we have something called a foundation degree, and it's like the first year before you can really go into art school. You can sample fashion and product design, multimedia back then, typography. So did you have a chance to explore all of that first before you chose your major?
So what I was able to do was take classes at night and then on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And kind of, you know, I talked to the counselor about what the type of classes I needed for my portfolio, and then just started chipping away at it. And, you know, I was, I think I had like a part-time job, and I was working for my dad. And during some of my off hours, I was, you know, doing my artwork all the time. I finally became like laser focused. I finally became obsessive with something I was really like excited and passionate about. And I never really was any of that before. I was kind of like trying a little bit of this. I was good at, you know, some sports, and I was good at art, and I was doing all these different things, but no one ever said to me like, you need to focus. You need to focus on one thing and be really great at it. No one said that to me. So I was just kind of doing all these things that I love to do, but I was just okay. I was just good, but not great. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And ArtCenter helped me focus. ArtCenter helped me become laser focused on, you know, achieving goals. And it revealed a passion that I had that I didn't even know I had. It was like, oh my God, I want to do this. What do I need to do? What do I need to figure out? And my dad was like, I was like, Dad, I'm gonna apply. And he's like, okay. And I don't think he thought I was gonna get in. And, and then I'm like, Dad, I got in. And then he's like, what? So,
because it's a hard school to get into, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a hard school just to finish, to tell you the truth. But it was one of the best experiences of my life. You know, my class was amazing. I was there with other people that you know. Michelle Doherty was part of my class, and Chris Doe, who started The Future.
Yes.
and they're two people I love to this day, and we would work together all night and sleep in the computer lab and get each other food, and
you end up working with each other.
We ended up working with each other, competing with each other. Yes,
it's a great time. I think I remember the last time we met. You said was it your PE teacher, fitness teacher? He said you're good at so many things, but find what you're great at.
Yeah, exactly. It was like I was good at a lot of different sports, swimming and dance, and the drill team, but I was never great. And finally, I was like, oh my God, I want to go to this school. I want to be great at something. I want my work hung in that gallery. It just totally ignited a part of me that I never knew existed.
And so you attended ArtCenter, you finished your degree, you then went straight to working at Imaginary Forces?
Well, my department chair, Miho, recommended me actually to Kyle Cooper, who was at RGLA. And I met Kyle at RGLA, interviewed with him, and started working there. And at the time, Karen Fong was there, so I started working with Karen Fong, and it was an amazing experience. And I started right off the bat working on the website, and that's when like the internet was coming out, and so we had to use like a gray background. I'm like, why do I have to use a gray background? Well, that's all. It can only be a gray background on the internet right now. Yeah. And I was always fascinated with interactive media, actually, to tell you the truth. So in school, I was doing a little bit of interactive media and design, and just jumped right in, started making boards for titles and working with Kyle. And it was an amazing experience getting into that world. So I was very fortunate. You know, you were asking me this question, like, how did I get to RGLA? You know, I was very lucky that I had a department chairman that knew Kyle and kind of helped me connect to somebody in the industry, because I don't think I would know where to go and who to talk to and where, you know. So I was very fortunate to be recommended to Kyle. So, you know, and he gets a lot of recommendations from schools. And
going back to thinking about when you are a student, I mean, even knowing where to go for school, for art school.
Exactly.
Again, there was someone there that said, hey, there's a book over there. You may not want to go to the Oxfords or the Cambridges, you know, because that's not really the place to go for art, you know. So if you should probably stay in London, and introduced me to Central St. Martin's and London College of Printing, and then they weren't ever, you know, in my mind as places to go to. And then thankfully I was able to apply there and get in, and a similar thing, right? It's just these pivotal moments or these conversations where you're in the right place at the right time. I was in the room discussing what I wanted to do, and thankfully that person invested 5 minutes to tell me, hey, maybe you want to try this. It's
so valuable. Yeah. I think a lot of young people maybe miss out on those kind of conversations and get a little lost along the way. But those are just so important. And I'm very conscious of that, especially with my kids, because I didn't have anybody when I was really young say, you're really good at this, you need to do this and take more classes in this. And kind of was something I had to find and figure out. So it's so important.
Yeah, as much guidance as we can pay for.
Yeah, it's important.
RGA then turned into Imaginary Forces.
Yes, it did.
And I remember looking at the Imaginary Forces website and falling in love with the work. And that's the reason why I'm actually in LA, looking at the work that was being put out with the title sequences in the mid-90s to early 2000s. How was the time working at Imaginary Forces? And then after that, both of you decided to leave and start Prologue. So tell me a little bit about like how you met. You know, really interesting.
Well, so obviously we were working together, and what's interesting is Kyle and I are very different. We're you know, I'm very, very social, and he's not as social as I am, right? And so I remember working together, and I would always be the one like, okay, everybody, let's go to lunch. And we would go to, Kyle doesn't take lunch. He eats his lunch at his desk. Yes. It's the same thing. But that's what he does. To this day, he doesn't want to go to lunch. He just wants to work and eat his lunch.
Yep.
And I would be like, no, let's go, everybody. And I would ask him, you want to come with us? Nope, I'm going to eat my lunch. And so, working there, I worked at RGA for a little bit. And then I got this amazing opportunity to work at another place called Time Warner. And I told Kyle about that. And he's like, yeah, go try it out. Go see what that's about. And if it doesn't work out, you can always come back. And anyway, so I left for a little while, and all my friends got together, and they all wished me well and said goodbye on my last day. And Kyle came and said goodbye. And then I started my new job at Time Warner, and Kyle was like, well, I'd love to take you out to dinner, on your first day at your job. And I'm like, okay, great. Dinner, friend, pal. And so, yeah, we had a really great time, and I really, and then we just started dating after that. So it was it was interesting. It wasn't like immediate, but it was kind of
built over time.
It built over time
Yeah.
because Kyle's very, very serious and businesslike, and I'm just more outgoing and talkative, and so we were very opposite, but very passionate about art and design. And,
I think you probably need that balance.
It was
as well.
It was like
If
a nice
you're both
combination.
Very
Yeah.
work intense. It's nice probably to trade off each other.
Yeah. I think we both learned from each other.
Yeah.
A little bit I learned definitely to, again, be laser focused, as Kyle is very laser focused. And then I think he learned to loosen up a little and try to have some time for life. Yeah.
Something that's very difficult, especially when you're creative and like having your own company. I mean, you're always looking for where the next job is coming from.
Yes.
Pitching.
Yes.
So it definitely requires that. And, I battle it myself as a creative, like when do you switch off and take time for yourself and time to rest. And when you're really passionate about something, it is consuming. I think, as a creative, you get off the box and you go home, or, you're at home maybe watching a movie, but you're still thinking of that edit or that treatment or, those style frames. It still creeps into your mind. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And then before I left, Kyle and I worked together on many projects, and we worked together on the 7 end crawl. And now obviously he was doing the 7 title, but that was really fun and a great experience. And, it was the time at RGA was a little bit, you can tell work was a little bit slow. But as soon as 7 came out, and luckily it kind of came out during the time they started Imaginary Forces, all this work flooded into the company, a new company that really needed a good kickstart, right?
Yeah, you need that injection.
You need the injection.
Yeah.
And all this work, calls and work came in and poured in, and there was so much work. It was impossible they all wanted to work with Kyle, the guy who did the titles of 7. So he built this amazing team and an amazing time. You could see, it's like a class. It's like, there's classes that you have that he's creating and forming. And we've had over the years different classes, but that was a very special class during that time. And so, eventually I left Time Warner. I came back and started working with Kyle. And we just started working on all these jobs. There's so many jobs. I've never seen so many jobs.
The floodgates open.
The floodgates open. And it was so busy that I started learning how to produce jobs. And I didn't know that was going to happen, but I was really interested in learning. So not only was I designing, but I was helping produce, just kind of learning on the side and working with one of the producers who would spend a little time to teach me. And that became invaluable.
To learn a bit more of the business side of creative.
Yes, yes. Like you can stay in your lane, but like now I really understand. It gave me a bigger picture of a project, and it's not just one-sided. There is a whole other side that you need to get this across the finish line, to get it profitable, to get everybody organized, meet your deadlines, make sure people have the specs and the technical information, and working with the type of different resources you need and scoping it out properly. But truly, invaluable because it really helped me when we started Prologue, that knowledge.
Yeah. And that knowledge they do not teach in school. I
No.
mean, in art school, it's
No, they
all
don't.
creatively led. And then you realize, we have to actually, this has to be profitable.
Right.
We've got to make money from this
Right.
job. So it was nice that you were able to experience that. And did you start to lean a bit more towards being interested in the production side versus creative, or were you still like, no, I still want to be on the creative side?
It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't fully embrace all the production side, but I was learning a little bit and then being more creative. So it was like a 30%, 70% kind of thing. But super, super helpful to have that person just, take me through it, start teaching me and getting my feet wet and not being so afraid of like this other thing that we need to really look at and not be,
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. It's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
It's part of the whole recipe.
Yeah. So why the leap of faith? I mean, to start a company, with your now husband at the time?
Yes.
You were married by this time?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's quite a challenge to start a company with the person that's closest to you that you see every day. So walk me through that decision.
Yes. That was a very hard decision, but a great decision. That was a time in my life where it was one of the best times in my life, but also one of the hardest and scariest times in my life. And I think for me as an individual, as a woman, as a mother at that time, I realized that I was depending on people too much maybe. And I had all my eggs in one basket. I had my job was, at Imaginary Force. My husband's job was at Imaginary Forces and his partners were there. And that seemed to not really work out. And so I look back and I say to myself, I was depending on these people and I shouldn't put myself in a position like that next time. I really need to depend more on myself. And so I think leaving this wonderful, beautiful company that we were a part of and building Imaginary Forces to take a leap of faith and start our own thing, it was something that was meant to be, something very scary, but also something that needed to happen. And, we had no idea exactly how to do everything possible, but we had a sense of what we needed and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to do different. And I think for me, it was one of those pivotal moments to this day that really changed who I am and changed who I am as a woman in the business, as a mother, as a partner, as just like who Kimberly Cooper is, because it was a defining moment. It was like I needed to really grow up and again, not put all my eggs in one basket. And it's not always up to my husband to lead the way and provide everything. No, it's up to me too. And I can do it. That's the other thing. It's like you have to say, wait a minute, I can do this too. I can be a partner, an equal partner. I can lead. I can do this and figure this out. And so it's like coming into your own again and saying, I need to do this and figure this out. And yes, it's going to be scary. And yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, we don't have any money that we thought we were going to have. But we're going to figure this out. And Kyle and I love to work. And so we just started working. We just started working. And it was a big transition because we just bought a house in Malibu and we had we sold our house in Pasadena. And I grew up in Pasadena. So my family's there. My parents are there. My family's there. And then we were moving and then we were starting Prologue. There's all this change happening.
Much at the same time.
So much at the same time. There's all this change happening. And we just moved. We fell in love with this house and it had this giant studio, which you worked in. And just started Prologue out of like pure love and survival. Really. I've got to provide for my family. I've got to provide for my kids. We've got to get health insurance again. We've got to set up again.
You just go into survival mode.
You go into survival mode completely. And we just started working. And we got one job, and one job led into two, and two led into three. And
it just snowballed.
We snowballed. We started with 2 other people, so it was 4 of us. And then, as you know, it grew to, and it grew and grew. But
I think there were 12 of us when I came over.
Yeah. And it was just making art, working, and starting this new thing. And I had no idea I was going to be a business owner. That's not what I really set out to do, but actually it's what I needed to do, right? So I was like, I'm going to be a creative director. And that was kind of the line of like, that's what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we need to start our company. And so I had to learn. It forced me to do something and step out of my comfort zone. And I really wanted to figure it out, do it on my own. I didn't want to ask my dad for help in any kind of way because he would give me a hard time. What? What do you mean? You depended and so we did it on our own and chipped away. And that really hard time, the scary hard time, the not knowing where, how we're going to pay for things, and how is this company going to be okay, and family's going to be okay, and it just really, it made us stronger, smarter. And it was one of the best moments of my life and my career, to tell you the truth.
I think these are things that people don't see. I think it's really important, right? Like you see the work, and you see all of the great work that comes out of a company, and you see, you can go online and you look at the website, and there's this beautiful, glossy, well-designed site. But it's really important to understand what it means to do that, and the sacrifices that have to be made. And it's not all fun and games and glossy. It takes time to build up to that. And I think you're in a really unique position, because the work that was coming to Prologue at the time was amazing. It was, big movies, TV shows, video games. So again, from the outside, it looks like, it's amazing. Like everything's running so well, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Even if you have the work, it's still a grind. And I think listening to what you were saying just now, transitioning from a creative director into a business owner, there's a threshold there that I think is not often understood. So you dug your heels in and made it happen. And I'm sure it took a long time to get into the flow of everything.
It took a long time.
So dividing responsibilities within a company is crucial for success. Whether you're a married couple, whether you're business partners, friends, but I'm sure that can also be a source of tension in a partnership. And as a mother and creative, how did you navigate the process of deciding how to split those duties in order to make sure your family was taken care of while still pursuing your passions? Were there any steps you took to ensure that each person felt valued and respected?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I guess I'm a juggler. I'm a natural juggler. And I think, I don't know if I get bored easily, but I'm always juggling 2 or 3 things. So when we were working and we had our studio in Malibu, it was juggling work and kids and food and cooking and house. So it was always a constant juggle. But like I guess it's just the kind of the leader, the mother in me, the person who just is looking after everybody and making sure we're okay. And it was a huge transition. Transition is scary. There's unknowns. And as soon as we started to get a rhythm, feels really good. It's like, it's not that you can just relax, but at least there's a bit of a rhythm, and there's a good flow happening. And we're surrounding ourselves and building this new team, right? Kyle already built a team at Imaginary Forces, and we're leaving that team, and we're having to start and build a new team. And there's it's a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of like new systems and structures and that we have to rebuild again. And so, looking at all that, and then I knew that I wanted to be a working mother. Like I just knew that's the route I wanted to take, because again, I can't put all my eggs in one basket. And so I need to juggle. And even if I'm not working at Prologue 100% of my day, I'm going to have my foot in it, and I'm going to work as much as I can. And then if I can, step back into it more 100% when the kids can let me. But I was always working, no matter what. I mean, either I was pregnant working or my baby was next to me, I was working. But I was always working, and it was just important. And I wanted my kids to see me work, and I wanted them to know that this is what we do, and mommy and daddy do this, and we love doing this. And I love seeing Kyle work. I love the art that he's making. I love his journey, his process, even though it can be really messy and chaotic, and it might drive me a little crazy. But I love to see it. And I think he loves to see me work too, in the art and whatever I'm creating. So I think there's this really nice synergy that happens, and always inspired by the team and the people we hired and all the things that were coming out, and just this gratefulness of projects and work. And we've got projects and work coming in, and bills are getting paid, and we're not, depending on anybody else.
Yeah, not employees, and where the rug could be pulled at any minute.
It could be pulled.
Kind of crafting your own destiny. Exactly. By doing it.
Yeah. It feels really good. Really scary, but really good at the same time. Because you have control as much as you can control most of it. I mean, in life you don't have complete control, but at least I'm not depending on another group of people to provide or support or create a place for us to work at.
Right. What did you both learn about balancing the demands of your work and relationship combined? And how did you navigate any potential conflicts that arose?
Oh, there's so many conflicts.
I'm sure there were many.
There's so many conflicts. I mean, my daughter talks about, I think Kyle and I were in the car, we're arguing about something, and we were trying to go to Target, and she's in the back seat with my other daughter, and she's 3. It's Cammie, Cammie. Mm-hmm. And we're on the freeway, and she's and Kyle and I are arguing about something. We're disagreeing. I'm just trying to say my point. He's trying to say his point. We're disagreeing. And my daughter, Cammie, from the back seat, she's like, if you wanted to go to Target, you just passed it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we were just consumed in the zone, and we didn't realize we passed Target. But yes, a lot of learning and pushing and pulling, and if we were two creatives on a project, that didn't work. So we had to not be two creatives on a project. That was definitely one thing. And then I just learned over time, pick my battles. I can't win all the time, even though I wanted to. Mm-hmm. I'm going to win, but can't win. You gotta let your partner be a leader too, and you have to be a leader, and you have to respect how each other wants to lead. But if there's something you really feel strongly about, you have to. Kyle and I will say, he'll say, Kimberly, I love you very much, but
at least start with that.
I'll say, Kyle, I love you very much, but so we've learned to pick our battles
and the communication style. Within those battles too, I'm sure is really important. Yes.
And we've also learned to align together in private, and so that we're on the same page with the team, because I think having two leaders on different pages is very confusing, and I think we've done that, and I think I'm no, we're not going to do that anymore. And I think also as leaders it's important, because yes, you are you're two captains of a ship, right? And you've got this team, and if your captains are disorganized or not clear, or they're not even agreeing, they're afraid or whatever. I think if the team feels it, the team senses it. And I didn't want to be a leader like that. And I remember working at a tech company also at one point, and everyone was always, after the president would give a speech, everyone's like, well, what did he say? Well, I think he said this. And well, I think he said, we always tried to translate what he was trying to say. And it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Or what do you think?
Conflicted information.
Conflicted. It was like, so I always think it's important to align, to be on the same page. And we never would throw each other under the bus. It's just not
and
cool.
Definitely not in front of
Definitely
the team.
not. We're definitely not going to do that.
Yeah. Was it hard taking the work home? Because, if you work for a company, you can, once you're out of the door, you may be thinking about the work, but then you're taking it back home, of course, because that's the job that you have together, and it's kind of like the baby that you're growing together throughout the early years of the company and throughout. So was that challenging, or did that just feel natural? It was. For sure.
Yeah. We had to, sometimes we just would talk about it way too much.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to give ourselves a break and try to just have more of lifetime. And I think that's important. You can't talk about it or think about it or let it consume you during off work hours.
Yes.
It just gets strange.
Yeah.
It's just too much, and it's not healthy mentally.
Do you feel like there were any sacrifices that you had to make in order to achieve that balance?
It's a constant. I mean, we're still trying to balance, but we have more of a balance now. Our team is working remote, and we love it. Everyone loves working remote. We love it. We have more of a life, and but it's a constant battle. I think trying to get your workout in and trying to get special time with the kids and putting them to bed and story time and your mental time,
that's just your solo time,
alone. Your friend time.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's an artist thing, but especially around Kyle, who could be very obsessive compulsive with his art. You tend to think, oh my gosh, I have to focus so much time on my art. But actually, you have to focus on these other things. And I think bringing that back to our family and our relationship is important. Getting our mental health and exercise in, and church time and kid time and vacations and seeing friends and family. I think it's important. I still think we need to work on that a bit.
It's a constant balance.
It's a constant. It's sometimes you think, oh my gosh, no, I can't get to that workout. But you do have to get to it, even though sometimes you think you can't, you got to. In the end, I've realized I can't. I have to try to keep working on that balance. And I think what helps me is writing it down, making lists, looking at it, putting in my schedule, workout time.
One of my close friends told me one time he had VCs, they were investing in his company, and he was going through a lot of stress at the time, and they said to him, listen, you're not going to be able to have everybody in your life be happy with you 100% of the time. And one day your gym instructor might be happy with you. One day your wife or your girlfriend might be happy, and the next day will be happy. But if you're pleasing us 100% of the time, there's something wrong. And you're going to constantly have to divide your time, but you can't spread yourself too thin with everybody. Otherwise, you won't be able to function in any other area of your life too.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I think Kyle and I have both learned our lessons about not keeping a balance, and it's not good. It's not good in the end. It's absolutely true. And I try to talk to my kids about that too. You have to get out. You got to, take a hike. You got to get some air. You got to exercise. You got to
touch some grass.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important.
So there's many couples that are probably considering starting a business together and maybe intimidated by the potential risks and challenges, both professionally and personally. And so having gone through this experience yourself, what advice would you give to someone in this situation starting out 20 years ago wanting to start a business together with their partner?
Well, gosh, I think there's so many things, but you're going to create this thing together that, it's going to be something. Well, for me, Prologue was very personal, very personal. I love Prologue for many, many reasons. So to me, Prologue is just because it helped me so much as a woman, as a mother, as a career woman, and it helped my husband, so it's something so personal that you're building this thing together. And so it's a journey. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect, but if you can learn from those mistakes, which we've learned throughout the years. And I feel like I really appreciate my time now as a creative person, as a entrepreneur. I think there are going to be things that, yes, you're going to disagree. There's just these things that are going to pop up that are going to try to add holes to your ship. Small holes, big holes. Wow. We didn't get that font license. Got to get that font license,
There's a lawsuit.
Exactly. It's a lawsuit. Hello. Exactly. So those things are going to come up. You posted something. We need to get, clearance from the client. You can't just post something, Yeah, these are just things. But if there's like real commitment and love and respect, I think respect is important. I think for some people, it's like after time and getting to know someone, I really know that person. And you can't lose that respect. I think Kyle and I have a lot of respect for each other. And I think we even have more respect for each other because we've seen what we've gone through the hard times. Easy times are easy and it's great, but it's those hard times that you remember what we've gone through. And that says a lot to me and to him. And I think also, a good team, like we've had so many great teams. And when you get through those battles and those hard projects with that great team, there is this bond, as that what your team can handle. Right. And I think I've said to our team at Prologue now, like, gosh, we've been in worse jams and we have been in worse jams and we've gotten out of these jams. And there is nothing like that feeling of getting out of those, tough situations. It makes you so much stronger. Our team is so tight and strong. And, when we need to expand, we've got all these people we love and they come and join the force and help us get through these great projects. And then they, go and move, do other things. But they come back and we have this just like family of people that we work with. And I'm very grateful that I have all these relationships with all these designers and animators and creative people and illustrators. And I mean, obviously Kyle has more, but those, because of how we've worked together with all these people throughout all these years, there is a consistency. People know us, people know how we work, people know our temperament, people know what we do in tough situations, and they trust that, we're going to take them on a journey and we're going to get through it, and it's not going to be horrifying.
It will get shipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you probably both saw the resilience in each other.
Yes.
Which is where that respect comes from. And it sounds like communication is key. That respect through your communication and knowing each other's boundaries and seeing that resilient nature, it's very inspiring both ways.
Absolutely. And letting Kyle be Kyle, right? There are moments where I've tried to want to control Kyle or not let Kyle be Kyle, but I can't do that. I have to let Kyle be Kyle. But if there's something I see that could put us in a difficult situation or something I'm concerned about, I will let him know, but I won't try to like control him about it. And I think he as well. He respects my leadership, my guidance. I mean, it's wonderful because now there's no really questioning, but he lets me lead the ship as well. So it's just, there's just this nice understanding. That's you don't even have to talk about it really. It's just it's there.
It's there. It's like a shorthand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you develop that over time.
You do.
Even with the artists.
Yeah, even with the team.
You develop shorthand.
Yeah.
Yep. So starting one business takes a lot of sacrifice and resilience. Why on earth did you decide to do it again with Spatialand? And could you share some of the lessons you learned from this experience and how it shaped your approach and your approach to entrepreneurship? And I think for people who may not know, just a little bit about Spatialand and why you decided to do that venture.
Yeah. I mean, again, another huge pivotal moment in my life and in my career and you know, the fibers of who I am. I hired an intern from UPenn. His name is Vivek, and I think you know Vivek.
Oh, Vivek, yeah.
Yeah, Vivek Reddy. And
still in touch.
Yeah. I love Vivek as I love you, but one of his master's projects was a virtual reality project, and he always told me about it. And one day he was like, Kimberly, I have a headset. You must try VR. You must try it. And I'm like, and I see this thing. He brings it in. It's this really big, bulbousy, awkward thing. And he wants to put it on my face. And I'm just like, oh, that is so awkward. What? And it's like, just try it, Kimberly. Just try it. And so I put it on, and it's this like VR experience. And I could barely see it. It was like a red outline wireframe roller coaster ride, okay? And I'm going on this roller coaster. It's all red and it's a wireframe. And I take it off. I was like, Vivek. I was like, I love it. I love VR. This is amazing. This is incredible. Like all these things in my head were just going off in my head. And I'm like,
The potential.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had an experience. I could see things that it was a different thing than just watching something on a screen. I felt like I was on the roller coaster. I could see the dimensionality of the roller coaster, how it was built. I was like, oh my gosh, we could. And what I immediately thought was the work that we did on Iron Man when you know Tony Stark is in his lab and he's trying to solve the problem and he's talking to Jarvis and he's got all these interfaces and the periodic table chart and he's moving information and it's floating in this space. I was like, oh my God, we can bring that to life. You can really do that now with VR. And I was like, okay, Vivek, I don't know how to do this. We don't know how to do this. We've never done this before, but I want to figure out how to do this.
And this was 2014?
This was 2014.
14.
Yes,
right, okay.
yes. So he's like, great, let's figure it out. So we started with a education experience. We didn't want to do a game. We didn't want to do something entertainment. We decided to do an education experience, and it was on Einstein's theory of relativity, which is a complicated theory. I can't believe that people try to learn this theory with books and slides and someone trying to explain it, because you really can't really understand it until you experience it. And so I'm pulling resources when anyone is slow and they can help us. And Ilya was helping us, and we got a few other people who would help us along the way. I was just done with illustrations in a space, and but taking someone through these experiences of Einstein's theory of relativity. And it was unbelievable because you could really understand all these different theories in going through it instead of having someone explain it to you. You're going through it and learning by experience, which if you're learning by experience, you're creating a memory. And it's a lot easier to go back to that memory than it is to try to go back to something you memorized, right? So I felt like this is such a powerful tool, and we were able to like win an award with Oculus. We submitted it to Oculus. We won an award, and from there, we came up with this idea to submit a talk to South by Southwest about stop motion, 3D printed VR filmmaking. And so
put all the techniques in one place.
Yeah, we wrote this submission to South by Southwest, and they picked it. They're like, "Great, Kim, come speak about it. We'd love for you to give your talk." And so I was like, "Vivek, they picked the talk." He's like, "Great." And then I was like, "Kyle, they picked the talk, so we have to make it."
Oh no,
because I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You gotta make it, visualize it.
Yeah, we gotta make it.
Pull some resources of whatever else was happening.
So we made we 3D printed these devils that Kyle had designed.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, we built the 360 set. We wrote a script. We recorded it. And Vivek was part of the whole production process. We hired a stop motion animator, and we did it. We did what we said we were going to do, and we learned from doing and did it on a shoestring budget. And from there, that got me introduced to Intel. And Intel, I did a music project, VR music project with them. And from there, I got introduced to people at Walmart, their startup, store number 8, and did a project with them for a year. And as I was doing all this VR content, I was building tools. And I realized, oh my gosh, these tools help me build other experiences quickly. And so I realized we were building a platform. So I called that platform Spatialand, and Spatialand was born. And so that was another company, and then started working with Walmart on using virtual reality to sell products in context. So camping products in Yosemite. And so we created this experience with them, and I was working with Intel and working with Walmart, and Spatialand was growing. We had a good-sized team of these young VR developers that I'm still in touch with today. And a year later, so I started Spatialand in 2016. We were acquired in 2018.
Wow, it's fast.
It was really fast. It was really fast. It was just a really great team, and I was able to meet these wonderful people along the way. I had no idea about anybody in this world of technology. And I just started going to conferences. I started doing presentations and started setting up a booth and presenting our work and talking about it and meeting people. And I was able to meet some VCs and talking to VCs. And I had to choose between raising money with a VC, they wanted to invest in us, or getting acquired with Walmart. And so I decided to go the Walmart way.
Was there anything that stood out to you, like why you made that decision?
I just wanted, I had no idea starting out as a graphic designer that it would turn into, an entrepreneur. And I had no idea that starting these companies, I would be able to build a company that I would actually be able to, have acquired. When you're building a company, and if you wanted to get acquired, you have to build it in a certain way. And I didn't understand that. And so I had to learn about building a company a certain way. Everything has to line up. There's all these things. And luckily, one of my VCs recommended me a friend of mine who's become a really good friend. His name is David Lee. He works at Sony Immersive. And David Lee became one of my founding members of Spatialand and helped me set up the company. So if the day came that we were approached by anybody to be acquired, we were ready.
It would be attractive to
buy. Exactly. So that was instrumental. Very instrumental, and a big learning lesson for me, because I think I worked a year on decks, pitch decks, business decks for this product we were developing. I had no idea how to do all that. That was business school 101 that I was learning, and I just had the right people around me to set this thing up right, and we created a product, and we created this technology that was able to be used by Walmart, and so. It just was kind of like all these things happened at the right time.
That should be another session to dig a little deeper into that. Like
that's a whole other story.
How to set up the company in the right way for acquisitions. And
it's very different.
I love that you just put one foot in front of the other and just went for it. And I think that's something that is very scary, and as a creative, something that we may shy away from. It's not easy to step out and try to do something like that and build another company, let alone do one. and you mentioned borrowing resources and trying to figure it out. And would you say that South by Southwest accepting the talk was like the catalyst to actually say, all right, we have to make this thing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It helped. It was like the rocket was ignited, right? Yeah. And it was just so helpful to get that validation that they wanted to hear about it. They wanted us to talk about it. They wanted us to present. And we learned so much. Again, every time I've stretched, the stretching of Prologue, the doing something out of my comfort zone and something I've never done before and something so scary, it's like pushed me so far and made me grow and made me become stronger. So Prologue and Spatialand, you know, these things that I've done have just excelled me when I've stepped out of that comfort zone. So I'm not afraid to do it anymore. I'm still stepping out of my comfort zone. But I'm trying to do it in a more strategic way.
Well, would you say you have the entrepreneurial bug now? Okay,
Absolutely.
I want to start another company.
Exactly.
I want to do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would you say is the most, I'm sure there's many, but the most valuable lesson you've learned throughout your creative and business journey with your life partner? And how has it shaped your approach to your work and your relationship today?
Well, you know, what's interesting is my kids say to me is like, oh my gosh, Mom, I see your parents, but you're so different from your parents. And I'm very different from my parents. I think you need a lot of patience in a relationship. You need a lot of patience. And I do also think that there are moments in time where, you know, you're going to drive each other crazy. You might need a little bit of a break, but there's also this wonderful time after time has passed and you realize all the things you've done together and all the battles and the things you've gone through and those difficult, scary situations where you're not sure if you're going to make it or you're going to come out okay, and then you come out together okay. That's what I really have loved. The journey of getting through those difficult times. I don't know why, but gosh, you know, and I try to I want my kids to have a good life and I don't want them to go through too many difficult times, but I guess they have to in order to grow and stretch. And you have to. And I think those have made me who I am, those difficult times, as we've discussed in those pivotal moments in my life where I've had to do something that I've never had to do before, and that I have done with my partner. You know, Kyle was very supportive. I would have these crazy ideas of I want to start a VR company. He's like, okay.
So he never said, oh, that's a silly idea, and why do you want to do that? He was very supportive. Yeah.
He never said that.
Wow.
He never said that that's a silly idea or no, you're crazy. Yeah. He's just like, okay.
How are we going to do it?
Yeah. Be careful. Don't spend too much money. Don't sell the house and the farm. You know, just he was very supportive, but luckily it worked out somehow, some way.
And he allowed you to stretch. I mean, there's some relationships where I think one partner tries to control the other, and I think it's great when you can be hands off and supportive in that way and not try to control somebody else's dream or passion, but just provide the support that's needed.
That's so important. I think, when you're in a couple, sometimes you get afraid, you get insecure, if he becomes or if he does this and I will lose him or I will, whatever, our relationship or vice versa, him too. Oh, if she does this and she won't love me anymore, I don't know what. But those are the things that make us who we are, those journeys. We don't own people. When you're in a relationship, you don't own that person. Right. You're on a journey together. You're on a journey together to experience life, and you have these moments and good moments and hard moments and funny moments and crazy moments. But gosh, that's what it's about. And I'm glad he didn't control me and take away those things, because those are the things that make me who I am. And I am glad I didn't control him and try to keep him in a box, because he he needed to go through these things to make him who he is to this day. And there's nothing like seeing someone go through that journey and letting them have that and not taking that away from them.
Yeah. Beautiful words. I'm thinking about my, you know, you have many experiences and relationships in life, and it's the magic definitely comes for me personally is seeing your partner excel and doing what they desire and what gets them up in the morning, and just seeing that smile on their face and the achievement. And I'll go back to again, like you using the word stretch. And sometimes even giving your partner the extra push or the extra word of confidence, right? Validation, you're going to be fine. I think that is so important in a relationship when you're trying to build with each other.
Yeah, it's so important, that trust. And you know, Kyle and I started out as friends, so friends that enjoy working together. And so we're lucky. I think there's some couples that are able to work together, some couples who don't work together but have this other passions and loves that they can talk about and do together. So all that is just part of the journey, and just, again, supporting that person as you would, you know, support a family member and your children, and it's their journey, and you're just there to support them and be there to go along with the journey. And it's going to be rough. There's going to be craziness and lots of craziness. You might forget a child here and there, but
it'll build character.
Yeah, you build character. One time I was walking with the kids, and Kyle, I could see Kyle and our 3 girls, and I was like, oh my God, where's our son? Where's Cade? I was like, and I yelled to them, and I'm like, where's Cade? And they all turn around and look at me, and they're like, you're holding his hand. And I'm holding my son's hand because I was like so freaked out that where's my son? And I was holding his hand at the same, you know, just crazy things like that where we laugh to this day about all those crazy, funny stories.
When you've got so much on your mind as well at the same time, you're trying to juggle everything in your head.
All the juggling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of life. We love it. I love it.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
I love it. So Kim, your ability to see beyond the present, as you explained when Vivek brought that big ugly headset, your ability to see beyond the present and envision the potential future of technology and possibilities is, you know, it is a gift. It's a rare gift that's, I'm sure, contributed to your success as a creative entrepreneur. And it's clear that your passion for creativity, your entrepreneurial spirit, coupled with your deep commitment to your partnership with Kyle, has been a driving force for many years. What's next on your journey? What are you playing with now? And, you know, what's on your mind for the future?
Oh my gosh. Well, Prologue is 20 years old, and I'm seeing Prologue go on and on and on. So that's exciting. I've invested in another little startup called Gym Class, and those are some of the fellow, the guys that I worked with at Spatialand. So that was exciting, and they're doing really well. They got a huge VC investing and with A16, and so they're doing really well. So I'm really proud of them. And I've also started another VR company called Introverse, which is a little bit of metaverse and VR and immersive learning experiences and content creation. So we'll see where that goes. That's just kind of in its the infant stages, and I've got 2 crazy book ideas that I want to do, which have nothing to do with design, but one has to do with frozen turkeys. But anyways, we'll get to that later someday, and then just trying to finish our property in Malibu. And you know, it's an ongoing project, love and passion project that I had no idea that I love space and interior design, and my daughter loves it too. And so we're going to work on that together. And I've been laying things out in Photoshop and teaching myself how to, you know, lay out a space properly and what do I like and what do I love, and just kind of like this whole design process, but with space and furniture and materials.
Like problem solving. It's like design. I think when you know design and you've been doing it for a while, it's like I try to apply problem solving through design.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's what I do all the time. Problem solving through design. Yeah. So I'm working with this window company and they send me like an estimate for windows but I want to see the windows in my architectural plan. So I cut the windows out of the estimate and put them in my architectural design. And I was like, oh, these windows are a little different. No, I want more systematic. Like, so I'm redesigning it. It's like interesting because like the windows on my estimate are one thing and then putting them on the architectural plans, it's very different. And that doesn't seem right. So I think it's important to understand clearly. And if you could see things visually, clearly you're going to understand how to communicate better what you want. Oh, I want something like this and something like that. Well, if I can lay it out for them really clear, I know how much it's going to cost. I know what the materials I need. Everyone's on the same page. It's kind of like production.
You can speak the same language.
We could speak the same language. Yeah. More efficient, cost effective.
How do you, I'm sure one of the questions that people are probably thinking, how do you find the time to do all of this?
It's a constant juggle and I can't get to it all the time, but I chip away at the other side gigs I have. And my daughters and my kids will laugh at me like, Mom, let's just focus on this one thing right now. And they try to, that's the thing. I tend to like to do too many things at the same time. So yes, that there is not enough time. And I'm a little too hard on myself. Like, oh my gosh, I should have already had another company starting. It should already have been acquired by now. What's
the hold up?
Yeah, what's the hold up? Come on, Kim, put it into high gear. No, it's okay. I'm going to get to these things. What I realize about myself, and my kids say this to me all the time. It's like, Mom, you're so patient. You're so patient with Dad. You're so patient with the company. You're so patient with your parents. And I am really patient, but I'm going to get to it. It's on my list. I mean, that's one thing I've learned from Kyle. He's like, make a list, check it off, make the list.
Yeah. You don't have instant gratification. Like the patience is probably something that actually keeps you going and keeping the projects going, because oftentimes it's easy to lose interest if something doesn't happen in the time that you expect it to originally happen in. And I'm sure starting one business and succeeding in that, that was a great achievement. And when you go to try again and have this entrepreneurial spirit and do another company, I'm sure it's different and it's not the same each time you do it. And the time frames in which things happen may not be the same as the first one.
Right. There are different combinations. Timing is plays into action in there, and the world, what you're trying to build, what you're trying to sell. And I've learned a lot that if I want to start a new business, what is the product that I want to sell? And I mean, that was a huge learning experience. I had no idea about like product and scale, any of that. So that working with Walmart for the 4 years, I was able to learn about product development and learn about what it takes to scale a product. Because when you start to scale, that's when VCs and businesses are interested in your the business you're creating. They want something that scales. So you can't design and think of it as something thousands of people is going to use. You have to think of it as millions of people have to be able to understand how to use it. And I really learned so much with that experience. And I think that that's reflecting in how I run things today. I have a bit of that product experience and I have a bit of the production, and we're trying to do that, at Prologue. And so I think that's really helpful. It's a little bit less loose and it's a little bit more structured. It's just thinking of it more, adding those organizational, structural systems from product development into our production development also seems to be working really well.
Hopefully creates a framework around
it does.
The way you approach the creative.
It does.
Yeah, it's almost coming full circle.
Yeah.
All the experiences beyond Prologue and bringing it back in to the way that the company's structured and the work process.
And being open to it. So for me to say, you know what, there's some really great things that were working really well when we were working with Walmart. And I want to take some of those things and bring it to Prologue. And, a few of those people from the Spatialand team have come with us at Prologue. And then I started interverse with a few of the people from Spatialand. And then I invested in gym class from a few of the people from Spatialand. So there's all these little groups and teams that I'm still working with in different ways.
Yeah, definitely met a lot of people. Even the decade I spent with you and
Right?
Kyle at Prologue, I mean, the amount of people you meet in 10 years.
And relationships you built, right?
You make, and you still work with the same people and the friendships. And I mean, it's incredible.
It is.
Kim, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Simon, thank you. My pleasure.
It means a lot to me. And I think there's so many words of wisdom that you shared today for couples that would like to go on this venture together, or just individuals. I mean, just sitting here learning and understanding myself what it takes to start a successful company, do many companies. I think, as somebody who is in a relationship, having those ideas and learning from you about what it would potentially take, and thinking about it's pretty scary to try and do that, and would you be talking about the work all the time at home? And just, I think you outlined some very specific things that I would definitely take away from this, and I hope our audience does too. The respect, the communication, allowing your partner to explore, to stretch, to expand, and don't try to control the situation all the time, especially if you're living with someone who's creative.
Yes, especially.
Creativity needs freedom. It needs
does.
space to expand. And so thank you so much for sharing those words.
Thank you,
and those
Simon. My
thoughts.
pleasure. It's been a wonderful time with you.
There's one question that I always ask, if I remember to. So reflecting on our conversation, what would you say it takes to be a creative professional?
Oh my gosh. When I think about it with my kids, and if there's something, they're all creative, but if there's something that you love in a certain area of creativity, figure out who does it, figure out how you can work with them, study it, learn about it. There's so many things that you can start to learn about with the internet, right? And try to get as close to it as you can. And the other thing in my journey is become the expert at what you want to do. And maybe it's not clear to you about what you want to do at first, but gravitate to something that you're really excited about and interested in, and it'll reveal itself. You're going to find the path. And as Steve Jobs has said, the dots will connect. You're not going to see it, looking forward. You're going to see it looking back. And for me, I definitely see it looking back. I love Steve Jobs and Apple. That truly inspired me. But yes, Kyle says it to people all the time too. If there's some work that you're inspired by, study it, learn about it, try to write them a letter, see if you can intern there, see if you can get a job there, and see if you know someone who works there, ask a friend, reach out. That's how a lot of these things work. A friend of a friend knows somebody who might know somebody who can get your name in there, and really, really use that to your ability, because it's going to help you so much. But yes, it's all there. Just become the expert. Yeah. Become the expert at what you want to do and love.
And having the confidence to reach out. I think that's really important for anyone coming into the industry and being in art school. Reach out.
Reach out.
That's how I got to LA, was just a cold email.
Yeah. So glad you did that,
thankfully,
Simon.
So am I. Thank you. Life-changing experience. And something I would really want people to understand, the worst that you can get is a no or the silence. But if you don't just reach out and have that confidence that you are worth it, you are good enough, your creativity is on a level where you can have this opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it's just believing that you can, and you can do it. Go for it and see where it takes you.
Absolutely. And reach out again. If you don't hear back, reach out again. Like,
be the squeaky wheel.
Because sometimes things fall through the cracks. Sometimes people hand it off to somebody else. It doesn't get to the right person. You never know. Just keep trying. Luckily I got recommended to Kyle and I was able to connect, but it's important. Yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you again. Fantastic answer to that question. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope we can do one of these again. Maybe dig a little deeper into building a company for VC.
Let me know. Love it. Thank you, Simon.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for listening to this episode of Object, Subject, Form. Your engagement helps build a community of like-minded creatives as we navigate the complexities of our respective creative journeys together. If these stories and topics inspire you throughout the series, I encourage you to subscribe, share, and follow me through the links provided in the episode description.